Alright, so entering Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 51, we have basically what I look at as the second part of the arc. Like I said, I see this arc in three parts. I see this with, from chapter 41 to chapter 50, I see that as, the first part, the new Namek part. So now we're entering the part two, which I call, the middle part, or aka the training arc, right? So, as we saw at the end of chapter 50, we saw, Goku go with Mirrors back to the Galactic Patrol, and we saw Vegeta head off to planet Yardrath. So, getting back into it, we see, New Namek, right? It's basically destroyed, right? There's basically almost nothing left. It's like an empty waste field because Moro has sucked all the energy out of the planet. And as we've seen throughout the arc, Moro's appearance has changed. He has a much younger looking face now, and it looks like now he has finally achieved, his peak state, right? So basically, after Namek has basically been sucked dry, Moro asks Sir Gambo, are there, do you know any other planets with remarkable life forces, right? So Moro wants to find more planets so that he can stock up on energy reserves. So he wants to consume planets. So we see Moro and Sir Gambo and the rest of the galactic prisoners, right? They're basically inside the ship, and Sir Gambo tells Moro that he's gonna send, soldiers and some of his eyes to do some scouting with other planets. So you guys see a bunch of, ships leaving the planet, or leaving the ship as, they're going scouting for planets for Moro. So back at the Galactic Patrol, right, the Galactic King reacts to finding out the news that all the prisoners from the Galactic prison have escaped, right? And he puts on his crown. And basically, Jackal reveals him because Goku is talking about, is the Galactic King naked? But I guess because he has his king, his kingly crown on, I guess it means, that I guess you're just supposed to ignore the fact that he's naked. And then Jackal reveals to us that, he's not actually wearing pants, but he's actually naked. Exactly. So it is what it is. But anyway, back to what we were doing. So we see Jackal tries to apologize for allowing all the galactic convicts escape, right? And now they're on Moro and they have no idea where they are. So Jackal tries to apologize, but the king and Mirrors and them just keep on walking. So then we also see that Eska, right? Eska, reunites with Goku once again, and basically, it's a nice little emotional moment. And we also see that, of course, Majin Buu has fallen back asleep. He switched places with the Daikao Shen, and he's fallen back asleep once again. So, once again, Mirrors is asking, where's Vegeta, right? And basically, Goku assumes that most likely Vegeta's going off somewhere to train. He has, some kind of new idea on what they have to do to defeat Moro, since their usual tactics and their usual battle strategies didn't work. But basically, then what we see is Vegeta is talking to Iruko, and they're talking about how they can't track Moro's ship because of how fast Sir Gambo's ship is. So Vegeta. But Vegeta also says that Sir Gambo is not strong at all, and Vegeta says that if he didn't have Moro giving him energy, his own son Trunks would be able to defeat him easily. So that's just a little bit of a gauge of how strong Sir Gambo is. So Iruko asks Vegeta, "What's your plan on what you're gonna do once they get the planet Yardra?" So Vegeta reveals that he wants to learn some technique, right? There has to be like a special technique that he can use to defeat Moro. He and this is Vegeta, going against his pride, right? Because Vegeta, most of the time, he would just, if this was Dragon Ball Z, he would just keep, train himself up and, just try to rely on power. But instead, this Vegeta in Dragon Ball Super has matured a lot. And he knows that just getting super strong is not going to be able to defeat Moro, because at the end of the day, Moro still has his magic, and he's able to drain his and Goku's energy whenever he pleases. So he needs a technique, right? So you can see more character development here for Vegeta. And if this was Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z, he would have done something completely different, which would probably just get him defeated once again. But here we have Vegeta acting differently, right? So we see Sir Gambo's gang. They arrive on planet Zune. If you guys remember, we saw some people from planet Zune back in the Buu saga. We actually saw Vegeta face off against an individual from planet Zune back on Bobby D's ship, right? So we see members of Sir Gambo's gang. They easily are able to take out the inhabitants of planet Zune. They're stealing the treasures of the planet, and you can see they're doing a pretty decent job here of building up Sir Gambo's gang, letting you know that they are a force to be reckoned with. So like I told you guys, they steal the treasures of the planet, and then we also meet Yumba, Shirakumo. We also meet 7-3, who is a very big key in where the arc would be going. So we see 7-3, he does some laser blast, and he's easily able to get rid of the last remaining members of Planet Zune, right? But Sir Gambo tells him to stop going overboard, because the more people he kills, the less energy there is for Moro to devour. So basically, after they go back to the ship and they have all the treasures, it's mealtime for Moro, of course. So Moro eats he absorbs the energy of Planet Zune, and then he devours it, right? And Moro says it's not a bad planet. So I guess the more life force that's on a planet, right, the more enjoyable it becomes for Moro's meal. Because that's what Moro wants to do at the end of the day. He just wants to keep consuming planets. That's what he does. So then Sir Gambo gets a call from these 3 females. I forget their names, but he gets a call from these 3 females, part of his his gang, and they're on a planet with, it looks like a bunch of dinosaurs. And basically he radios to Sir Gambo. The girls radio to Sir Gambo saying, come over. I think Moro will enjoy this planet a lot. And the plan is for them to strip the planet of all its treasures before Moro gets there, so they can Moro can just have his meal, and then they can go on to the next planet. So back at the Galactic Patrol, right, they're starting to notice that planets are getting annihilated, right? And most likely, these planets that are getting annihilated are because of Moro, So Goku starts getting very curious about mirrors, right? Because Mirror says, even if we could confront Moro now, our odds of victory are virtually 0. So Goku, and remember, at the beginning of the arc, Vegeta was asking a lot of questions about Mirrors, right? He knew that Mirrors was hiding, a lot behind his power. So Goku here asks Mirrors, were you even fighting seriously the entire time, right? And, Mirrors is like, what are you talking about? So Goku's like, mind if I, run a little test. So now Goku's on the mirrors. He wants to figure out what's the secret behind Mirrors' strength. So Goku fires off a punch, a very serious punch in his base form. And you guys gotta remember, Goku is very, very strong in his base form. We know he has all his other Super Saiyan forms, but base Goku alone is very strong. So he fires off a serious punch. Jaco and Asuka are like, they're caught off guard. They didn't expect Goku to throw such a serious, punch. Like, what's he doing? So Mirrors easily avoids it. And Jaco's like, what? Did Mirrors say something that got you mad, Goku? Because they notice Goku's, much more serious now. So Goku asks Mirrors to spar with him. And Mirrors agrees, and they go into this little training area. So this is an area that specifically is for Galactic Patrol soldiers. The interesting part is we know that Goku is 1,000,000 times stronger than all the Galactic Patrolmen. So, it's going to be interesting to see how much the training room can take of Goku's power. So Goku starts sparring with Mirrors, right? Starts off in his base form, classic Goku, right? He always likes to, slowly power up the longer the fight goes. So, Goku and Mirrors, they're actually taking this serious. Goku tries firing punches at Mirrors in his base form, but Mirrors is easily able to dodge them, having no effect. So then we see Goku transform into Super Saiyan. Alright, Mirrors, it seems like he does like a little technique to stop Goku in place, and then he's able to grab a hold of Goku's arm and basically twist him around kind of like a tornado. We saw Toppo do a similar move when he faced Goku in the anime before the Tournament of Power. So then Goku goes straight into Super Saiyan 3, right? And he continues to try to attack Mirrors, and and Jacko asks, where's the bloodlust, right? And Eska, who, even though Eska's a young boy, Eska's still able to tell that, Goku's just testing Mirrors' power, because Jacko expected an all-out war, but, Asuka could tell that, Goku's just testing Mirrors out here, right? There's not actual any bad blood between these two, right? So Goku is trying to, attack Mirrors using Super Saiyan 3, but it's not having any impact, No matter how much power Goku uses, Mirrors is still easily able to dodge every attack. So then we see Goku go into Super Saiyan God. So now he's going into his God Ki forms, and that is all that the training room is able to handle, right? So Jacko gets mad at Goku. He's like, you need to stop now because, you're going to bring the roof down if you go any further. So Goku says, all right, we're done, right? So Mirrors asks, is Goku satisfied? And Goku said, I've seen enough, right? And Goku asks Mirrors to train him, right? Jacko is like, what did Goku just say? But Goku can tell that Mirrors knows a lot more than he does. So Goku just says, why don't you train me, right? So Goku states that there's one move that he's been trying to master, and it's all about the body moving on instinct. So it might work against Moro when he starts trying to absorb energy. So Goku feels like if he trains with Mirrors, he'll be able to get closer to achieving this this form and this technique, right? So it would help them in their battle against Moro. So Goku gets happy here, right? But Mirrors says that, to train Goku, it has to be somewhere outside of this room because it can't handle Goku's power. Goku agrees because he sees that he can't even go God form, So if he can't even go into his God forms, what is training going to do, really, right? So then we go to another planet, right? We transition to planet June. So we see the Many Archie gang, and right, like we said, they are, also scouting planets for more to potentially absorb. So basically, they rob a planet, but it doesn't have much. It wouldn't really be a good eat for Moro. Of course, Moro would be able to consume the energy from the planet, but it wouldn't be much. Moro wants, planets with remarkable life forms, right? Or life force, my bad. So then we see one of the members of the Many Archie gang. They call over to Sir Gambo, and they tell him that there's not much energy and they're off to search another planet. So he asks what planet should they pay a visit to next. So Penne, right, the female member of the gang, she says that she was remembering something that Mirrors and the rest of them were talking about when they showed up last time to bring them back to prison. And they're talking about, brew uranium that they could find on this planet called Earth. So basically now the Many Archie gang, they're heading over to Earth because they're looking for resources there. And if the planet is big, right, of course, Moro will definitely be interesting in devouring it. So now you guys can see, right, where this is going. So now the Many Archie gang heading to Earth, that's going to most likely bring Moro's interest to Earth. So now that's going to put the Earth in danger because we know Moro's not going to want to, consume the planet and potentially eat it, putting Goku and the rest of his friends and their families all at risk. So going into manga chapter 52, this chapter is called Goku and Vegeta's Training. So the chapter starts off with Vegeta. He has finally arrived on Planet Yardrad, which is taking, I believe, 2 or 3 days. So, like I said, all these events are not taking place in just, one day, right? They're taking place over a couple weeks, a couple months, to be honest, right? So, we see the Yardradians, and Vegeta states that, he knows that the Yardradians can come in different types, right? So we see these little fellas coming through, right? And one of them goes straight up to Iriko and shakes his hand, and basically says, "You must be Vegeta." So he mistakes Iriko for Vegeta. So Vegeta introduces himself, and he's walking with the Yardradians, right? And the thing about it is, they know about him because they know how, because the Ginyu Force was programmed to actually go out and conquer planet Yardrad for Frieza before heading off to planet Namek, right? So the Ginyu Force were on planet Yardrad before they went to planet Namek back in the Frieza saga. Remember when Goku programs his ship after the battle with Frieza? It sends him straight to planet Yardrad because it was already, pre-programmed to go there. Because the Ginyu Force was probably planning on finishing their business on planet Yardrad after dealing, with Vegeta and the others on Namek. So Vegeta does remember that the Ginyu Force did attack that place. So the Yardradians are, grateful to Goku and Vegeta for defeating them. So Vegeta says, "You're welcome for that." So Vegeta asks which one of them, was the one that taught Goku instant transmission. And he says, "You lot," right? Which one of you lot? Talking to all of them. But then it is revealed to us that there's only one Yardradian. So, and Vegeta's like, where did they all go? So the Yardradian reveals that sometimes, they use their techniques to make other people fear them so that they can keep the peace on their planet. So that's pretty cool. So they meet the Yardradian elder, and he's much bigger than any of the other Yardradian ones. And he reveals right away that he was the one that taught Goku instant transmission, and his name is Elder Pybra, right? So Elder Pybra mistakes Iriko for Vegeta, just like the other Yardradian did before. So Vegeta explains to Elder Pybra, what's going on with Moro, and why he wants to gain techniques to defeat him, right? So basically, Elder Pybra then reveals that there is no such thing as techniques that they use. These techniques are actually abilities that come from mastering one thing, and that is spirit control. Spirit control. So basically, Vegeta asks, "What is spirit control?" And the younger or the smaller Yardradian reveals that what we call spirit control is what Goku calls ki or chi, whatever you want to call it. So Vegeta then understands what that means. So by mastering spirit control, right? You can make copies of yourself. You can perform genification to make yourself bigger or smaller. So basically, Vegeta is very shocked to see all these techniques being used and what they mean. So Vegeta tells or asks the elder, right, teach me this so-called thing called spirit control. So then, a few days later, after Vegeta lands on planet Yardrad, we see Goku travel to another planet with mirrors, right? So nothing really happened during this time, right? All we knew that was Moro was going to other planets, right? Trying to consume energy to get stronger and stronger and fulfill his consumption needs, right? So then the Galactic King asks his mirrors, basically, we need new recruits. We need, more people in the Galactic Patrol because, our soldiers were defeated easily by the Galactic prisoners. So, basically, the Galactic King asks about Piccolo, right? Because he remembers Piccolo from being in the Universe 6, Universe 7 tournament. So, the Galactic King basically orders Jackal to head to Earth to recruit Piccolo into the Galactic Patrol, right? almost the same thing with Gohan, because Jackal knows Gohan is Goku's son, and he's also very strong. So Piccolo is still attempting to try to reach someone on New Namek, right? But Piccolo believes at this point that all the Namekians that are capable of telepathically are most likely dead. So remember earlier in the arc, we did see Piccolo and Dende. They were a little concerned about what was happening on Namek, right? They did notice that Goku and Vegeta were not on the planet, but now that that more time has passed, they're really concerned because now they can't get in contact with anybody on planet Namek, and they believe that everybody is dead on. So something big is happening over in space. So then we see the Mariachi gang, right? They are arriving on Earth, and Dende sees them coming, of course, since he is the god of Earth, and Piccolo can sense their energy as well. He senses 3 individuals, and he head down to a desert area to where they're planning to land. Just to figure out, what's going on, why they on the planet. So Pasta, he sees Piccolo and he wants to know what the hell this guy wants, right? Like, what does he want? So they fires these little rocket bullets, and of course they're not gonna have any impact on Piccolo. And they believe they were able to take him out, but we know the little bullets are not gonna do anything to Piccolo. So they're looking for the body, but they don't see anything. Sort of like, where did he go? Piccolo has appeared now on top of their ship, right? And he's like shooting without asking any questions, right? The rudest guest he's ever met. So I like how Piccolo is having a little bit of humor there. So Dende, notices that these guys aren't big threats. They're not strong at all, but he wants to know why they're on the planet. So we see Bulma and Hercule, right? They arrive on Dende's lookout, and they're looking for Piccolo as well. And the reason why Bulma is there, because he just received a call from Jackal saying that that he was coming to Earth to recruit Piccolo into the Galactic Patrol, right? So then they ask is the Galactic Patrol battling someone strong at the moment? Because Dende wants to know what's going on in space. So Bulma's like, I don't know, but we'll just have to ask Jackal directly when he gets on the planet. So we see the Mariachi gang, right? They try attacking Piccolo, right? But of course, they're no use. Piccolo is too strong. We see Pasta. He tries to go gather a bunch of rocks together and try to have them drop on Piccolo, but these aren't any rocks. These are explosive rocks, right? Because we see the other members of the Pasta or of the Mariachi gang, they hide when they see Pasta drop these explosives. But of course, they have no impact on Piccolo, right? These are just mini explosions. So we see Penne. She extends her arms and she believes she's able to grab a hold of Piccolo, but instead all she's able to do is grab a hold of Piccolo's cape, right? Out of nowhere, we see Piccolo. He grabs Penne and the other guy by the foot and the neck using his long stretchy arms, and is able to fling them around into a rock, right, where Pasta is, and he's able to tie them up pretty easily. So we see Bulma's on the phone with Jackal. Dende is able to hear about it, and Dende explains the whole situation to them, and they reveal that planet Namek is a dead planet right now, and all the Namekians are unfortunately dead at the moment, right? So basically he explains how Moro is looking for other planets to eat, and how even though Earth isn't a strong planet, right, because all of the people that live on the planet are pretty weak outside of the Z fighters, but because there are so many people that live on planet Earth, that could make planet Earth a target for Moro, just because devouring all those energies would be a really good meal for him. So while Jackal is explaining this, Piccolo tries to figure out who the Mariachi gang are, but the Mariachi gang, they just state that they're friendly aliens passing through the neighborhood. And basically the reason why Pasta and the gang are playing nice is they're trying to convince Piccolo that they're weak, and they're just aliens passing through, and he wants Piccolo to let them go so that he could inform Moro that this is a really strong planet, and he should put it on the list of planets to consume, right? So Piccolo eventually lets them go, and he tells them to go on and never come back. So they leave, But right as they're leaving, Dende, Bulma, and Hercule ride back to the battlefield, and Dende tells Piccolo not to let them get away. And basically, because they're allied with the gang that's causing trouble in outer space, right? So Piccolo goes over to stop them, right? He brings back down their ship with a key blast, and he says, they messed up trying to trick him, but it's already too late because the Mediarchi gang has already, got in contact with Moro's main forces, and now that Moro is about to find out about Earth, Moro's gonna head to Earth eventually and take the planet down for himself. So we transition back over to Sir Gambo's ship, which is speeding into space, and Sir Gambo's, tells about the message he got from the Mediarchi gang, right? Moro says if they have been killed, that the planet they found must be host of strong beings indeed. So Moro wants to verify that Earth is a strong planet before he heads that way to devour it. So Moro tells Sir Gambo to send out a stronger scouting party because if planet Earth truly is a strong planet, it'll be put on the list for planets to now be devoured. So as the narrator tells us that the forces of darkness are starting to gain interest on the Earth. We see Goku is off training in Mirrors, and they're on this desert planet, and Mirrors has a long staff, and Goku's in his base form, trying to attack him. Mirrors is making easy work out of Goku and just beating his ass with the staff as Goku is helpless. So Goku explains that, and we know that the move he's trying to master is Ultra Instinct, but Goku explains that when using this move, he has to empty his heart and his mind for the move to work. But when he's fighting, his emotions are all over the place, so that makes it difficult. So Mirrors is able to catch on pretty quickly, and as him and Goku continue to train, right, Mirrors explains that, all emotions can translate into very, tremendous power. So, for example, using Super Saiyan, right? Super Saiyan is triggered by, rage, right? Goku and Vegeta and, many others have mastered Super Saiyan to the point where they don't need rage to transform. But that's the emotion that usually triggers the transformation for the first time. And then the more you transform, the more accustomed you get to it. And then it just becomes natural for you to transform. So Goku or Mirrors explains that the technique you're after is the opposite of rage. So Goku is starting to catch on a little bit, and he continues dodging Mirrors' attack, right? And Mirrors explains that the technique Goku is after will come into play, and trigger itself when, Goku faces a huge shock to his emotions, such as Ultra Instinct. And Goku finally, smiles because now he knows that him and Mirrors are on the same page. So Goku asks that, Mirrors knew about Ultra Instinct the entire time, right? So basically this confirms that Mirrors has Ultra Instinct, right? And that's the thing that makes him so strong. He uses Ultra Instinct to be able to, battle opponents. So Goku says, it's fine that Mirrors didn't, give on this information before, because he knows he's a good guy who wants to be moral just as bad as he does. So he thinks that's fine. So, no more feeling sad about himself not telling Goku about Ultra Instinct before. Let's just get back to trading so they can get back to defeating Moro. So basically, Mirrors reveals that he has no doubts anymore, and then he takes Goku into this pyramid-like structure. So inside this pyramid-like structure, we see a familiar environment. What we see is a hyperbolic time chamber, just like the one on Earth. So Goku says, I know about this place. I've trained in it many times. The only difference here is the time, the scale is off, right? So we know that one day in the hyperbolic time chamber on Earth equals 1 year in the time chamber, right? So 1 day on Earth is 1 year in the hyperbolic time chamber on Earth. So here but this one is different. In this chamber, right, 1 day in the normal world is 3 days in the hyperbolic time chamber. So it's much different than the one on Earth. The one on Earth is, it's just is just as important. And Mirrors reveals that, the thing about it here is, now that he's in the hyperbolic time chamber and that they're sealed off from the outside world, he can use his full power without anybody noticing. So then we see Mirrors gets into a stance very familiar to one we've seen out of Whis, and I want you guys to remember that as we continue to go forward here with the story. Mirrors gets into a stance very similar to one we've seen Whis do in the past when he was training Goku and Vegeta. So Goku gets in, his form as well, and, they continue their training. So then getting into manga chapter 53, right, we see Krillin is now on Dende's lookout, right? We see the Many-Archer gang, they've been locked up, and Krillin is shocked to hear about everything that's going on, in space and what's happening with Moro, right? So Krillin's talking to Piccolo and asking if they should contact the others, like, with Tien, get Yamcha involved, because, those are the other strong warriors on the planet. Plus, remember, we got the androids. So, Jackal arrives on planet Earth, and Eska's with him. And Dende is very happy to see his fellow Namekian brother, Eska, right? And Bulma, reveals to Jackal, because Jackal's like, you couldn't get any more strong warriors than this, and Jackal. Or Bulma reveals that, Krillin was the only person that she could get in contact with, because Tien doesn't have a cell phone and the other ones, are nowhere to be found at the moment, right? So we see Dende and Eska, they reunite with each other. And Jackal explains that Eska just tagged along with him as he was heading, for the Earth. So Eska reveals that he wants to do whatever he can to help the Z Fighters in this situation. So, in Eska, you see a young Dende. That's really what you see. He reminds you a lot of a young Dende. So, Pasa from the cage where he's locked up, he yells saying, you losers can never stand up to Moro. And then we see Jackal, he goes up to Pasa's cage and saying that, once this is all over, he's heading right back to the Galactic back to the Galactic Slammer. But Pasa reveals, no, we're not going anywhere, right? Because Moro is on his way here. And then once he does, Earth is doomed. So Jackal is now very concerned because he didn't know that, the Many-Archer game had already contacted Moro, right? So Jackal contacts the Galactic Patrol to figure out who is on their way to Earth, and it's revealed that there's 3 individuals, right? We have Shirakumo, we have Yumba, and we have 7-3. Or Shima, his name is Shimarika, not Shirakumo. Alright, Shimarika, my bad. But we see Yumba, he's the big man of the group. He just loves to eat, right? Classic Dragon Ball, having characters that are addicted to food, right? So Shimarika believes that Earth is just a boring rock and it's a waste of time. But Yumba complains that he's hungry, and he says that, they need to make a quick pit stop before heading to Earth. So then, Jackal reveals that 7-3, and like I said a couple chapters ago, 7-3 is a huge key to this arc. So basically Jackal reveals that this strong scouting party with 7-3, Shimarika, and Yumba, they caused a lot of trouble in the galaxy, and it was Mirrors that was able to bring them back in. So basically, they are very strong and they're going to cause trouble, but Krillin is confident that nothing will go wrong, because even though Goku and Vegeta aren't on the planet, they have Gohan and Piccolo, so everything should work out just fine. So Jackal isn't, he's confident that Gohan and Piccolo can get the job done, so he asks, or he tries to make his leave, and Bulma, is stopping him, from leaving the ship. So Krillin says, if you're leaving, that means that they're too strong for you to beat. And Jackal's like, yes, to be honest, that's why I want to get out of here. So Piccolo says, at least tell us what to expect from them before you just leave. So basically, we get a little bit of info on 7-3. So basically, what we learn about 7-3 here is that he was created on a planet filled with advanced science and technology. And the crazy thing about him here, and then as Jack was giving this explanation, we see Yumba and Shimorika. They're on this planet stealing, just enjoying all the food. As we see like these hedgehog figures, right? These hedgehog characters with very spiky, backs. Which they try to fire spikes at 7-3, but what 7-3 does is he kills a member of their clan, and he uses the dead body as a shield, right? He uses the dead body as a shield to block all of the spikes. Then all of a sudden we see 7-3, he squeezes the neck of this dead individual, and all of a sudden, on his forehead we see a picture of the individual he just killed appeared, right? So then all of a sudden we see 7-3, he takes on a form very similar to the hedgehog people with the spikes in his back, and then he fires off the spikes and kills the rest of the hedgehog clan. So it's revealed to us that 7-3 has a copy ability. This copy ability allows 7-3 to steal other people's powers by grabbing their necks, and then the stolen powers last for about 30 minutes. So Piccolo reveals that or states that this isn't about hijacking bodies or brainwashing. This is the straight up copy abilities and making him his own, right? And the thing about it is, since 7-3 was created by scientists, right, he doesn't really have a personality. He's similar to Android 16 in a way, back from the Android saga. He doesn't have a personality. He's more of just a machine who obeys, right, the orders of his allies. So we see, as Shirakumo and Yuma are about to escape the planet, we see that there's still other members of the Hedgehog clan left. And it looks like they have created some kind of portal. They're hiding in a cave, and they're creating a portal to try to escape, right? To try to escape to another planet where they'll be safe from 7-3 and his gang. Thing is, 7-3 discovers them, and then what he does, he figures out that these guys have abilities to, it's almost kind of similar to instant transportation, but they're able to make portals, right? So what happens here is, as they're talking about 7-3, Jackal lets them know that they should have about a good 10 days to get ready for their arrival, because it's going to take a while for them to fly over there. But the thing about it is, as they're talking, a portal opens up, and we see 7-3, Yumbai, and Shimorika all gather on the planet right there, right then. So basically, because of that warp ability, they were able to transport themselves straight to Earth, wasting no time. So everybody's shocked to see them on the planet so soon, right? And Shimoriko talks about, how they're lucky to find individuals with those abilities for 7-3 to copy. They also have a little bit of a sparring with Jackal, right? Because they know Jackal from the Galactic Patrol. And, they also talk about how, Jackal was supposedly the guy who was able to wrap up and be able to put the Mediarchi gang in a cage. So Jackal was taking credit basically for the work that Piccolo did, the chapter before. So Shimorika, goes over the pasta, and it's revealed, that Pasta believes, or Pasta believes, Shimoriko's there to save them, but instead, Shimoriko's actually about to kill them. Shimorika's actually about to kill them because he has orders from Moro saying that traitors acting on their own are dispensable. So as Shimorika's about to kill them, Piccolo stops him in his tracks, right? He's like, what are you doing? No killing allowed in the sanctuary. So basically, Piccolo says no killings allowed in the sanctuary and no evildoers are allowed on planet Earth, so they must leave now. So then we see Shimorika, he gives like some kind of, some kind of sign to 7-3 to move. And remember, we just found out that 7-3, he basically always obeys the orders of his allies because he doesn't really have much of a personality. So all of a sudden we see 7-3, he appears behind Piccolo, and he grabs Piccolo's neck, aka copying Piccolo's abilities. So Piccolo gets his abilities copied. Piccolo is able to get away from him, but all of a sudden he looks back and 7-3 is performing Piccolo's signature move, the Special Beam Cannon. And the Special Beam Cannon is so strong, right? Piccolo is barely able to dodge, but it creates a hole right through Dende's lookout. So basically, Jackal screams at Piccolo for allowing himself to get his abilities copied, right? And we know that Jackal has good eyes. So then he sees, as Piccolo is, apologizing for letting that happen. We see that 7-3 does the expendable arms that Piccolo is also known for, and Jackal, knocks himself or sacrifices himself so that Piccolo doesn't get hit. So we see Jackal then falls off the lookout down to the planet. So basically, Piccolo heads after to try to save Jackal, right? Because he believes if Jackal falls to the ground, he'll die. But we see Shimarika and 7-3. They go after. They head after Piccolo as well. So Krillin is about to follow them, but he gets grabbed by Yumba, and Yumba says, "No, you ain't going anywhere, Chief. You're gonna fight me." So as Jackal's falling, he uses the kind of the jets in his shoes, right, to save himself, right, from flying. And Jackal reveals that he can fly for short bursts. So then we see Piccolo and Jackal. They land back into the desert wasteland. And basically, Piccolo's like, alright, how should I go about fighting this guy? So Piccolo basically says, Jackal tells Piccolo that, you're basically fighting a copy of yourself, right? So however you would go against that, that's how you should deal with 7-3. He has all your abilities, and he's just as strong as you are, basically, at your full power. So you're fighting almost an exact copy of yourself. So as 7-3, is coming down to the surface, he expands his arms very similar to Piccolo, and Piccolo does the same thing, because remember, these are Piccolo's abilities that are being used. So we see they grab hands and a test of strength, classic Dragon Ball, and Piccolo is shocked to see his abilities being used against him. So then they get into a tug of war. And what happens, and they eventually get together and headbutt each other. So 7-3 takes a little bit of damage, but Piccolo is taking damage as well. So we see they continue to go at it. Jackal's trying to get a shot in to try to help Piccolo out and take 7-3. But before he can get a shot in, we see Shimarika. He comes flying in out of nowhere, and he steals Jackal's gun. So Jackal is now, fighting with Shimarika, trying to get his weapon back. So we see Piccolo is firing Ki Blast, but everything he does, 7-3 is able to counter because these are Piccolo's moves, right? We also see 7-3, he does a Mouth Blast, very similar to one we've seen from Piccolo in the past. And we see, Piccolo guards against it. Basically, Jackal's reveals to Piccolo that you're not going to be able to wear him down because 7-3 has infinite stamina, and Piccolo's like, damn it all, you should have told me this sooner. So then we go back to Dende's lookout, and we see that Krillin is fighting with Yumba. And even though Yumba is a very big man, he's also pretty agile for his size. So he's bouncing around the lookout pretty easily, and we see that Krillin's having a lot of trouble with him. He bounces so hard that he actually tries to hit. He actually does. He hits Krillin, and he sent Krillin flying straight through the lookout. So basically, Bulma, Dende, Hercule, and Eska, get into the ship because they want to go flying after and see how they can help. So then we get back to the battlefield. We see Piccolo and 7-3. They collide in a key struggle, right? Piccolo's attempting his Special Beam Cannon. 7-3 is doing the same move as well. And Piccolo is actually struggling a lot here, right? We see Piccolo's he's actually doing a double special beam cannon, and nothing's working. And Piccolo, he feels sorry because he's getting beat by his own abilities. So Jakku states that the best thing for Piccolo to do here is just try to hold on and wait till 30 minutes have passed, where the abilities that 7-3 is using will wear off. But right when it looks like Piccolo is about to be defeated, we see the beam gets diverted and Jakku is able to dodge it, basically. Barely, right? So then 7-3 is like, what the hell happened? And we see that Gohan has arrived to the battlefield. Gohan was finally able to get out of class, and he has arrived to help Piccolo save him right in time. Piccolo is grateful to Gohan for the save, and basically Piccolo tries to explain the situation to Piccolo tries to explain the situation to Gohan very quickly. Gohan quickly understands that his dad Goku and Vegeta are not on the planet, so right now he has to defend the Earth because he's right now basically the strongest fighter on the planet. So back in the hyperbolic time chamber where Goku and Beerus are training, right? There, we see Goku's pretty much getting his ass kicked. His gi is heavily ripped off, and we know that Beerus is very, very, very strong. So Beerus reveals that the best way for Goku to attain Ultra Instinct once again is basically replicating the circumstances which allowed Goku to allow Ultra Instinct in the first place. And remember, back in the Tournament of Power, that was Goku, basically almost being on the verge of death when he was going up against Jiren. So Beerus explains that, for Goku to gain access to Ultra Instinct again, Goku basically has to be prepared to die in this training battle. So Goku said, alright, but Beerus, you better be ready to kill me. So then we go back to planet Yardrat, and Vegeta, he is now in Yardratian clothes, and he is on, a mountain trying to, master spirit control. And the key is, basically stabilizing his spirit, basically with his body. And, Elder Piper reveals that his spirit is even more off balance than Goku's was when he sat up there. And it's revealed that Goku was up there for 150 days. So he was up there basically for around 5 months. 5 months. So Elder Power reveals that, since Vegeta's spirit is so off balance, it's going to take even longer for Vegeta to master spirit control. And then Vegeta, as the chapter ends, says that he is starting to regret coming to planet Yardrat because of all the trouble he is going through. So then moving on into chapter 54, we have Gohan going up against 7-3. I know this is going to make a lot of Gohan fans happy. So we see Gohan, he fires off an attack to 7-3, right, and is able to send him flying to some rocks. But 7-3 is able to bounce off, and he starts firing Ki Blasts at Gohan, but Gohan is able to dodge them pretty easily, right? So we see basically 7-3 performs Piccolo's Hell Zone grenade, where he fires off, thousands of Ki Blasts at once, but instead of just shooting them right at the opponent, he uses them to surround his opponent, right, so they have almost nowhere to run, and then he sends them all flying at his opponent at the same time. We see Piccolo do this against Android 17. So he does the move, but Gohan's able to dodge it pretty easily because he knows Piccolo better than anybody. So what happens? Basically, so then, we see that Gohan has dodged it, and he has his finger behind 7-3, and basically does like a spirit gun and sends 7-3 flying into a mountain. So Gohan has pretty good control, right? And Piccolo, congratulates, Gohan for the job well done. Now he just needs to finish up the job, right? And we see Piccolo. He actually changed his Gohan outfit to a very similar outfit to his own. So we've seen Gohan in this outfit before, right? Gohan's fighting in clothes identical to Piccolo. And even though Piccolo's happy that Gohan's doing well, Piccolo does say that he is a little bothered, right? He has mixed feelings about having Gohan beat a copy of him so easily. So then we see, right, 7-3 gets back up and he goes back into giant Namekian form, right? We've seen Piccolo do this back when he faced Goku in the martial arts tournament back at the end of Dragon Ball. So he tries to land some attacks, but Gohan is easily able to dodge them. Gohan is very confident here because, all these attacks he's seen before by going up against Piccolo and other villains in the past. So we see Gohan flies right up to, 7-3's chin, hits him with a huge kick that sends him flying, right? And we see that Krillin, he is still fighting Yumba, and he is, having a lot of trouble. And Krillin's, notices what's going on, and he's like, "What the hell? Why is 7-3 so giant?" So then, Gohan, he lands back down. He takes 2 ki blasts with both his hands, and he aims at 7-3's, legs. And one thing about it is when you're bigger, right? The more larger your vital spots are gonna be. So unless you're like super duper fast when you're big, it's going to be easier for a smaller opponent to land attacks if he knows what he's doing. So he fires off the 2 ki blasts to get 7-3's legs to start, shaking, make him off balance. Then we see Gohan, he flies through under, 7-3's legs, and then he flies up, hitting 7-3 with a huge kick to the midsection. So for the most part, it looks like 7-3, he has been defeated by Gohan. So then Yumba, right, he leaves his battle with Krillin because now he's concerned about what the hell is going on. 7-3 gets back up, and Shimarika explains to 7-3 that now the goal is for 7-3 to get Gohan's abilities because Gohan's the stronger one. So 7-3 continues to attack Gohan, but we see Gohan continue to be able to dodge all of these attacks. So we see Gohan, right, he flies into more of the wasteland as we see 7-3 go after him. So Krillin arrives, and he's happy to see that Gohan has arrived to the battlefield. And Piccolo states that Gohan is still the same guy he's always been, somebody that they could count on. I'm gonna be honest, maybe, I don't know if that's, 100% accurate, Piccolo, and you guys know I love Piccolo, but I don't know if that's 100% accurate. We've seen Gohan fail multiple times. With the Cell Saga, he's the reason why Goku had to sacrifice himself. Also, back, when he gained his ultimate form, he could have easily taken out, Super Buu, but chose not to. He let the power get to his head, and then eventually got himself absorbed and had to rely on Goku and Vegeta making the save. So we see Gohan as he's dodging, right, all these attacks. He's running up 7-3's arm, and he loads up a left-handed Kamehameha, right? Gohan's like one of the only ones, if not the only character that performs the Kamehameha wave with his left hand, left-handed, right? So he fires off, or he prepares to fire off the attack, but then right at that moment we see that 7-3, 30 minutes have passed, and he loses control of Piccolo's powers. So he no longer has access to Piccolo's techniques, so he goes back to normal. So Jackal's like, alright, now the 7-3's back to normal. This is your chance, Gohan. Fire off the attack anyway. So basically, Shimarika yells at 7-3, before you're defeated, use whatever powers you have left in stock. And it is revealed to us that 7-3 has Moro's powers copied into him. So, basically, at that moment, we see as the Kamehameha is about to take 7-3 out, right? We see that 7-3 eats the ki blast. He eats the ki blast, very similar to what we've seen Moro do multiple times throughout this arc. So, basically, with Moro's abilities copied into him, 7-3 is able to absorb energy and devour energy the same way Moro does. So we see 7-3 powers up now that he does consume a full power Kamehameha from Gohan, and then we see 7-3 he puts his hands out as he prepares to absorb energy from the earth. So Piccolo, Gohan, Jackal, and Krillin all attack together because they know this is turned to a bad situation. So we see 7-3. He has like a magic barrier very similar to Moro, and you can see that all the Z fighters are starting to get burned from 7-3 using Moro's attacks. So we go back to Moro's ship, and Sir Gambo gets a call, basically finding out what's happening on planet Earth. And Moro is a little bit bothered that 7-3 had to use his copied abilities already, but he also knows this means that planet Earth is more valuable than they thought at first. So we go back to the Earth, and we see that Gohan, Piccolo, Jackal, and Krillin, they're having their energy drained, and it's revealed that 7-3 is only absorbing energy from those 4 individuals because he knows that Moro wants to drain the whole planet for himself. So inside Sir Gambo's ship, they have like a little war table where they're able to project what's going on the planet, and Moro learns about how 7-3 has a time limit of 30 minutes, and basically how Earth 10 million ago, when Moro was at his peak going up against the Daikaio-Shen, Earth was just a planet of mere monkeys, and how it's evolved a lot since that day. So Shimarika now, he's confident, as now they are, the Z fighters are getting their ass kicked by Yumba and Shimarika because their energy is drained. And Shimarika is, says a very cocky statement. He says, "Not just because you're stronger doesn't mean you always get the win." So we see Yumba, he lands right on top of Gohan, and he's absolutely pounding away on him. Piccolo tries to help, but there's not much that he can do. So Piccolo reveals, right, that even if the Z fighters die today, right, Goku and Vegeta will be back to make sure him and their army is taken out. And Shimarika's like, wait, who are those people, right? And 7-3 remembers that those were the 2 Saiyans that were on planet Namek, right? The ones that were able to escape right before Namek, died. So Krillin reveals that Goku and Vegeta are training right now to defeat Moro. Moro thought, that Goku and Vegeta had just ran away, but he had no idea that they were training to get stronger. So, of course, Moro, who is watching the battle back from his ship, he hears about this, and basically Sir Gambo's about to pull everyone from this planet to head right on over to planet Earth. But Moro, he notices that they stated that Goku and Vegeta are training to defeat Moro and the rest of their goons. So Moro tells Sir Gambo to tell 7-3 and his gang to retreat to Earth for now, because once Goku and Vegeta return with more energy than ever, he'll consume them and their precious planet. So now they're setting the stages for the for the climactic battle on Earth, right? They're setting it up for Moro to eventually, invade planet Earth, to not only defeat Goku and Vegeta one more time to consume their energy, because he knows that consuming their energy will be an amazing meal for him, because we saw earlier when he consumed their energy earlier in the arc, it brought a lot of his youth back to him, and the more energy Moro consumes, the longer he can live, right? So Moro reveals that since the Galactic Patrol no longer poses a threat, there's no need for them to be hidden from them any longer. So the plan is for Moro to invade the Earth, right? Wait for Goku and Vegeta to return from their training to defeat them, consume their energy, and also consume their planet. Kind of similar to what he did on Namek. So, they get the order from Sir Gambo, right, to retreat for now, and Shimariko reveals, telling Yuma and 7-3, just get rid of the energy for now, because they're going to do this job later once Goku and Vegeta show back from their training. So, Shimarika tells Krillin and the others, tell Goku and Vegeta to hurry up fast, because Moro is just waiting to consume them. So, Shimariko says, they'll be back in Cycle 7, so there's no point in them trying to run at all. So Krillin doesn't really understand what Cycle 7 means, and that means, basically they'll be back in about 20 days. But Jakku, he does a little bit of acting here, and he says they'll never be back in time for that, so at least give them until Cycle 8 to make their return. So Shimariko's like, okay, fine, we'll be back in Cycle 8 to, consume Earth and face off against Goku and Vegeta again. So we see 7-3. He does the he switches back from Moro's powers to the Hedgehog people, and he creates a portal, and they leave. Right, they take their leave. So Krillin and Gohan, they're all trying to recover, and Gohan is very damaged because he just had that big panda dude, kicking his ass for a good amount of time. So Piccolo asks Jacko how much time was he able to buy for the Earthlings, and Jacko reveals about 2 months. So Jacko was able to get, instead of 21 days for them to return to planet Earth, he's given them 2 months. So 2 months for Goku and Vegeta and the rest of the Earthlings to train for Moro's invasion. So this information gets over to Mirrors via his ship, right? And we go back into the hyperbolic time chamber, and Goku is of course trying to eat, since Goku has to eat to maintain his strength. So Goku's like, okay, fine, we have plenty of time in here. So basically, it's revealed that 2 months in the real world would give Goku and Mirrors 6 months in the hyperbolic time chamber to get their strength up. So we see Goku, right? He's getting dressed and ready to, get back to it. And then he asks Mirrors, I don't see you eat a lot. Like, what's the deal with that? Don't you ever get hungry? Mirrors reveals that, he can eat whenever he wants, but he doesn't have to eat at all. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really have any impact on him. So Goku notices that Whis said something similar. So like I said, I hope you guys are paying attention. We saw earlier that, Mirrors knew about Ultra Instinct, just like Whis knows about Ultra Instinct. Mirrors has an identical fighting stance to Whis, right? And now we have Mirrors saying that he can eat or not eat. It's his choice. And Goku's saying that Whis said something very similar. So I hope you guys are paying attention to that, right? So Goku's like, okay, whatever. The food's here not that good anyway, So let's get back to it. So we see Goku and Mirrors continue their training. Speaking of Whis, right? We see Whis. He is at the Grand Priestess, he's at Zeno's palace, right? And he's looking into his spirit, and you can see that Mirrors and Goku are training. So he's been keeping tabs on Mirrors this entire time. So we see the Grand Priest arrive. We know the Grand Priest is, the father to all the angels. And Whis, asks Mirrors, or not, he doesn't ask Mirrors, he asks the Grand Priest if he's, familiar with what's going on in the world, right? And, Grand Priest says, I do know what's going on. And Whis says he's deeply ashamed that there's always conflict happening in Universe 7. So the Grand Priest says, I don't suppose you're asking, me to save your universe, right? And Whis says no, he would never do that because he respects the law of the angels. But the thing about it is, Whis, the question he wants to ask his father is, what's going on with the whole Mirror's matter. So, and the thing about it is, the Grand Priest already knew that Whis was going to ask about mirrors, right? So that reveals into what's going on with mirrors in the next chapter. So the next chapter, right, chapter 55, it is titled Mirrors' True Identity. And Mirrors, or not Mirrors, the Grand Priest reveals that he dispatched Mirrors, who is an angel in training, to Universe 7 so that he might learn about, the way things and broaden his perspective. Sounds kind of similar to Zamasu, right? But the script is flipped here, right? Zamasu turned out to be a bad guy, and Mirrors is 100% good. So the Grand Priest, and Whis, they both been noticing what Mirrors has been up to, and they see that if he's not, careful, the Grand Priest is gonna get into a situation where he might be forced to take action to remove Mirrors from the Galactic Patrol and remove him from the mortal realm, because even though Mirrors is not a full angel, he's still an angel in training, right? And if he's not careful, he'll get himself erased for breaking the law of angels, because angels are supposed to remain neutral. And Whis says, he wants to take care of Mirrors for right now, since, Mirrors hasn't broken any laws of the angels yet, right? He's just training Goku at the moment. And Whis says that he's done the same thing as well. But the Grand Priest jokes that the main reason that you do that is because, Whis loves the food on Earth so much. So, Whis then becomes responsible for what happens to Mirrors, right? But remember, at the end of the day, Whis is just an angel. He can't, do much. He's just there really to overlook Mirrors and make sure he doesn't break the law of the angels. So the Grand Priest states that troublemaker or not, he doesn't wish to lose any angels. So he's hoping that Mirrors will remain in good standing and not let anything happen. So then we head on over to planet Yardrat, and Iruko, he's having a lot of trouble getting in contact with the Galactic Patrol, right? Because planet Yardrat is on the edge of the Galactic Patrol's jurisdiction. So it's on the other side, basically, of Universe 7. So it's very difficult for Iruko to get in contact with anybody from that planet, or from anybody outside the planet. So we see another scouting ship from Moro's army, and it lands right on planet Yardrat, and we see at this point, right, Vegeta's spirit energy is finally in control. He's finally mastered it. And Elder Pyra says that, that his spirit control is more polished than Goku's now, and you've also mastered it in less time. Vegeta says, of course, because he is a prodigy, and he says that him and Goku are not cut from the same cloth. So, Vegeta, of course, being a little bit prideful there. So as Elder Pyra is about to start teaching Vegeta these new techniques, right, he puts his hand out and he's able to heal Vegeta. Because remember, Vegeta spent a lot of time on that, trying to master his spirit energy. So Vegeta is brought back to full strength. Vegeta's like, wow, so is this something I could potentially, learn? And of course that would be big, right? Vegeta having the ability to potentially heal himself at any time. But Elder Piper says, this is just one of many. This is a high level ability, and right now we're not even at the low ability section yet, right? So Vegeta senses that, there's some evil spirits on the planet, as we see, the scouting ship that Moro sent over crash lands on the planet. And Iruko comes saying that, Moro's goons are, on the planet. So, of course, Vegeta has to deal with it. So Elder Piper's like, alright, you go do it. Just be careful. Don't cause any damage, to our planet, right? So we see, Moro's goons, and we see this long-haired individual, right? And the thing about it is, this long-haired individual, he's very similar. He reminds me a lot like Zarbon back from the Namek Saga, right? Remember Zarbon? He was one of Frieza's high-ranking soldiers. Vegeta defeated him pretty easily, but he did cause a little bit of trouble for Vegeta at the beginning. So we see Vegeta and Iruko, they go to confront him, and The And Iriko states that this is Zuzan, right? He's one of Sir Gabo's minions, and he's pretty strong himself. So Zuzan does recognize Vegeta for being on New Namek when the Galactic prisoners invaded Namek to help Moro out. So we see Vegeta's like, you're not gonna harm anybody on this planet, because Zuma threatens to let Moro know that Vegeta is on planet Yardrat, but Vegeta's like, not on my watch. I'm not letting anything happen to this world. So we see Vegeta, he sticks out his finger to, prepare an energy attack, but instead he creates a giant ball of energy. And we see he, accidentally fires off the energy, and it goes straight at Zuzan. And Zuzan is barely able to dodge it. Barely able. And Vegeta's like, what the hell? And Elder Padbra, using instant transmission, appears behind Vegeta and says that you've already grown, so much stronger. So now that you've balanced your spirit energy, you've grown so much stronger now that you didn't even know how much you were capable of before. So some crazy stuff being revealed to us here. Then afterwards, right, we see the Moro soldiers. They go over to confront Zuzan, make sure he's alright. And he says, what are you fools staring at? You guys should be fighting. So we see these little goons, they fly after Vegeta. But Vegeta sends them flying with a nice little backhanded double punch. Sends them into these buildings. But the thing is, Vegeta doesn't kill them. If you guys remember, if this was DBZ, Vegeta would have killed them with one shot. So then we see Zuzan, he transforms, and he transforms into this hideous dinosaur type state, and Vegeta recognizes this because he confirms that this guy has to be of the same race as Zarbon, right? Because Zarbon had a very similar transformation back when they were on Namek. So Zuzan gets all confident, like, I'll spare Lord Moro the trouble of killing you. I'll handle you right now. But Vegeta, and remember, Vegeta's doing all this in only his base form. Vegeta hits Zuzan with a huge backhanded fist, right? And Vegeta's in his confident mode, right? His cocky, confident mode, saying, try you. I believe I just did. Sorry, I didn't catch quite of that. Who exactly will you be killing? So we see Zuzan, he continues to try to, fire off attacks on Vegeta, but Vegeta is able to dodge most of them pretty easily. And when Vegeta has that cocky, confident smile on his face, there's no beating him. So we see that he kicks Zuzan so far that he actually lands on a huge building, right? That's being held up by a small house under it. So we see basically the building starts falling on Zuzan, but Zuzan picks up the building and he throws it at Vegeta. But Vegeta has no worries about it. He stops the building with one hand and flicks it away. Right, so Vegeta here, right? Vegeta says, you're no match for me. You should just stop it, right? This is a waste of time. So Vegeta's actually, offering a little bit of mercy here, right? Like I said, if this was Vegeta back in DBZ, Vegeta would have just killed, Zuzan right off the spot. But he's actually, offering a little bit of mercy. So we see now, Zuzan has a huge object in his hand, right? A much bigger object. And the thing about it is, what's different here is not your typical object. We see that Zuzan has pumped a bunch of energy into this thing to harden it, to make it much more difficult for Vegeta to just, fling. But we see he fires it off, and Vegeta with just his fist, or just a kick, he's able to kick it right back at Zuzan. Zuzan, using all his might, is able to fling the thing high in the air, and then Vegeta hits Zuzan with a huge kick to the stomach, basically to guarantee, his victory. Then he hits it with just one more backhanded roundhouse kick, and he gets sent flying all the way over to the place, to the other, almost like to the other side of the freaking planet. So Zuzan returns back to his normal state, knowing that he's defeated, Oda Piper's like, I told Vegeta not to wreck the place, but we know Vegeta, he doesn't have a, he's not that good at listening. So, Zuzan reveals to Vegeta that, Moro's next target is Earth, right? So he's not going to waste any more time here. And remember, Iruko was unable to get any contact with the Galactic Patrol. So now he's just finding out that, Moro has set his sights on planet Earth. So we see, right, Zuzan tries to escape with the other two Moro minions. But, as they're escaping, Vegeta is about to hit a ki blast, to stop their ship. But instead, the huge object that, Zuzan had fired at Vegeta earlier, right, comes flying back down from the sky. And we see it collides with Zuzan's ship, and the ship is absolutely destroyed, and a huge explosion takes place, basically telling you that Zuzan and the other two Moro goons on board, that they are dead and gone. So Vegeta's like, he basically killed himself. So basically, Iruko states that is now concerned that maybe they need to hurry back to Earth if Moro is planning. But Vegeta, using his energy, is able to sense that Earth is untouched for now. And Vegeta doesn't want to leave Planet Yardrat until he has a technique mastered that will allow him to defeat Moro. So Vegeta states that he's short on time, so Hybra has to pick it up a notch, helping him with this technique that's gonna allow him to defeat Moro. So Piper's like, fine, even though the move that Piper has in mind, it's a more of a high-end technique, and Piper would want Vegeta to learn these other moves first, but he knows that they're short on time, and Vegeta's main goal is to defeat Moro. And Vegeta, there's always time later on for Vegeta to learn the other moves, right? So basically, Moro, using his magic, is able to find that Vegeta is training on planet Yardrat, and Moro is just able to tell just by using his magic that Vegeta has become more powerful. Sir Gambo asks, you're able to find him using your magic, and Moro says yes, right? He says that the planet that Zuzan ventured on was planet Yardrat, but now he's dead. Sir Gambo's in shock, but Moro doesn't really care that Zuzan's dead. Those goons, they did their service, they did what they had to do, and now, what's done is done. So Moro can tell that Vegeta's growing a lot stronger, and he knows that Goku's going to be more powerful as well. So it's better that Moro agrees that it's better that he stocks up on power now, because he doesn't want any surprises to be waiting for him once he gets down to planet Earth. So Moro believes he wants to get his power to the limit, but even he doesn't know if he has any limits at this point. So Moro continues devouring planets. Goku and Vegeta also continue training, and 2 months quickly pass. So Mears is looking at the clock inside the hyperbolic time chamber, and Mears tells Goku that time is nearly up, and Mears thinks the Finns up their training, they should spar one more time before taking off for Earth for the final battle with Moro. So Goku's like, alright, fine, let's do it. I'm just going to use everything that I've learned in here. And Mears states that he's not going to hold back either. So we see, Goku starts to power up, but we just don't see his face. We don't see what form he is in, right? We can't tell if it's Super Saiyan Blue or God or something else entirely. But we see Mears starts to power up, and what's interesting is you could see as Mears starts to power up, a halo, very similar to what Whis has, right? A halo starts appearing around him. So, as he is powering up, right at that moment, Goku and Mears are both transported outside of the hyperbolic time chamber, and they're like, what's going on? And then what we see that Whis has arrived. Remember, Whis has been keeping his eye on Mears this entire time, and Goku is shocked to see Whis just like Mears is, and Mears reveals like brother. So now it becomes clear, right? It becomes clear that Mears is an angel in training. Goku doesn't know this. We know this because we read the beginning of the chapter and we saw what happened between, we saw the conversation between Whis and the Grand Priest. So, Whis was able to figure out that Goku or that Mears was about to make a major mistake right by showcasing his full power, because that is breaking the law of angels. Because training is training and battles is battles, and angels are not supposed to get involved in any battles, right? So then basically, Whis, he scolds, Mears for his actions, right? And Goku is shocked at finding out all this information that Mears is indeed an angel. So Whis says what's even more egregious, that he was about to battle Goku inside the Hyperbolic Time Chamber. He said, basically Mears' plan to travel to Earth and do battle against Moro. So, Mears is shocked that Whis was able to figure out his plan from the start. So, Goku asks Whis, what happens if angels do fight, right? And Whis reveals that angels who break the code of angels are eradicated, aka erased without any trace. And Goku is shocked. Goku's like, really, like that, like poof, and like, it's meant to be a funny scene because of Goku's reaction, but Whis is serious. This is the most serious we've ever seen, really, Whis in Dragon Ball Super, right? So Whis informs the Mears that his time in the mortal realm is over, and he's taking him back to Beerus' planet. So Whis changes Mears' outfit, right? So we see Mears, he's no longer in his Galactic Patrol clothes. He's now wearing, angel clothes. And Goku, or Mears apologizes to Goku for, not being able to follow through with this final battle, right? Because remember, Mears was the one that trained Goku, and he's a little sad that he's not going to be able to see Goku's training hopefully work out against Moro. But Goku still says thank you to Mears for everything, and Mears says that he has faith in Goku that he will defeat Moro. So we see Whis and Mears, they depart the planet and they head back to Beerus' planet. And Goku thinks that he has to get back to Earth, right? But the thing about it is, Goku is way too far from Earth to just, do instant transmission. So Goku has to take Mears' ship by himself. And Goku's shocked because, Goku's like, alright, I gotta, pilot the ship, back to Earth all by himself. And Goku then screams into, space asking for Whis to come back, because, it would be easier if Whis could just take him to, Earth himself. But that's where we leave it. Goku now has to head back to planet Earth by himself, piloting a ship he doesn't even know how to fly, to save, or to get ready, to go up against Moro.